What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Duel, back here with another Diablo 4 video, and today I kind of wanted to make a video talking about all of the different changes that have happened with Diablo 4 since the release of the new expansion, and everything pretty much leading up to it. So this video is for people that, if you're like brand new to the game, this is a great video for you. Or if you're coming back from the game, you played like on launch or the beta tests or whatever, and it's been a while and you're curious to know what's changed, where do you start, or maybe you don't even know where to look. Well, this video should hopefully help you out here. So I have a list of changes. I made a separate video a while back before the expansion, but a lot has changed since then, so I figured I'd make an updated video. So without further ado, let's just get started here. I have a full list of all the changes that I'm going to talk about here. So the first thing that I want to talk about is Helltide. So Helltide, if you don't remember, is just basically Hell taking over Sanctuary. And it looks like these little red areas on the map. And as you're playing, you're going to have these whispers of the dead. And if you fill this bar up to 10, it's going to give you a whisper cache that you can come over here in Temis, which is the main town. And I'll talk about Temis here in just a second. You go to this Crow of the Tree, and you can turn in your whispers. It'll say here, return with your grim favors. And it'll give you like a list of rewards that you can pick from. So that is Helltide. But however, there's a couple different changes that have happened since Helltide launched. Before, it was like every hour or so. I don't remember. I think it was like every hour that Helltide would happen. Like it would happen, then would be an hour, then would happen again. Like they had like a cooldown period basically. But now that's no longer the case. There's still a cooldown period, but it's 5 minutes. So it's pretty much up 24/7. You go in, you do everything in that zone, and then you get your cinders. You can open up your different chests here, and they're you can't see them because I'm not in Helltide, but there's like little chests around the map that you can go to and open up the different chests. And the other thing that you need to know is the Grim Favors. So the darker red the activity is here is the most Grim Favors you're going to get. So look here, this really dark red dungeon, 5 Grim Favors. And then if there's like a world boss or I think just a world boss, and then some of these other activities, they give like this PvP here, they give Grim Favors. Dark red, you can see, and the lighter red, this one gives 3 Grim Favors. You kind of get the idea. So you want to fill this bar up as much as you can all the time while you're playing, and then go to the Crow here in Temis to get your whispers. So hopefully that covers Helltide. And another thing that you can note is that you might have dungeon keys in here. They'll have like this little red symbol next to it. Kind of looks like this. This is the count, but it looks like this, and that basically implies that it's a whispered dungeon key. So you can just right click it and then go to your dungeon and then do the whisper dungeon. So that pretty much covers Helltide. I might circle back to that at the end just to recap if I missed anything, but just for that. So moving on, we're in the town of Temis. So this is your home base in Skogos. So first of all, if you're watching this video and you have not purchased the expansion, I would highly recommend that you purchase the expansion. There's a lot of reasons to do so, mainly because you get 2 new classes, the Paladin and the Warlock. You get a whole new campaign, and you get a whole new zone, which includes another zone for Helltide. So that's also good to know. But the main reason that I want to talk about it is that Temis has everything at your disposal right in this giant little hexagon, right? So I think it's a hexagon. It looks like a hexagon. So we'll call it a hexagon, a little circle, whatever you want to call it. You've got your Warplans here, which we'll talk about here in a bit. You've got your blacksmith. You've got the cube, which we'll talk about. You've got your obols over here, and you've got Undercity. You've got your sorry, I'll talk about that in a second. But your Undercity's up here. I can just show you on the map. You have your pit, your whispers. You got your jeweler. You got your cube, obols, and blacksmith. Change your difficulty. You get the idea. Everything is here. Everything you could ever want is here at Temis. Now, before, it used to be that you would go to Suriger, in my opinion. Suriger was the best place because we were right next to the pit. But now that's no longer the case. You just get Temis, and just everything is here. It's close by, and it makes sense. So, buy the expansion, get the 2 classes, play Warlock. I'm assuming you've already bought the expansion or you wouldn't be watching this video. But, yeah, once you got the expansion, just right-click on the center here, and you'll on this the blue little ring here, it'll make the your default teleport back to Temis. So you want to do that first thing when you start. So moving on, we're going to talk about the 2 new game modes that they added since you know, you come back here. The first one is Infernal Hordes. What are Infernal Hordes? Well, basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. You go in, you can launch this key here. This is what it looks like. You right-click on it, it'll take you over to Horde Dungeon, and I will demonstrate what it looks like here. I'm not going to go through the whole dungeon because that's just going to take way too long, but I'll waste a key here just for you guys. So you come in here, and you kill this monster here. That'll set it off. And then you'll get a couple of choices here of what you want to empower your run here. So here we got damage from a masses applies vulnerable. Mass drops 1 Aether. So Aether here is this little these little ashes up in the top right, kind of like your cinders from Helltide. Basically the same thing, but this is Infernal Horde version. So the idea is that you want to get as much of these as possible, and you basically kill monsters, and then you'll spawn events. So I'll show you what I mean. I'll start a wave. I'll kill some monsters. It'll spawn some events. You'll do these events, and they'll drop Aether. And basically, the idea is that the more Aether that you can stack up by the end of the Infernal Horde run. This is out of wave 10 here. Normally, by default, it's out of wave 6, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. The key gives you 10 waves. The 10 waves takes a long time, so I'm not going to show the whole thing, but I'll just start it off here, because it'll go pretty quickly. They're only 1 minute, and you would think that it wouldn't last very long, but 10 waves is 10 minutes, so there you go. So as you can see here, there's a bar on the right. It fills up as you kill monsters. And then it's going to draw out an Aether event, basically, more or less. It'll blink on the map, and then you go and do it. Here's the Aether mass. Feel free to skip past this part if you don't want to see this, and that's totally fine. I'm just showing this to demonstrate what this is. It's almost over. You can see the events here, and we're getting Aether. Not very much Aether, but we're getting Aether. And that is the end of the first wave. As you can see, that's kind of how it goes. Now at the very end of it, you're going to get a chance to fight 2 different bosses. One boss requires that you have 666 Aether, and the other boss doesn't require any Aether. But you want to be smart about it, because also at the end, when you beat the boss, either boss, you'll get a chance to open a couple of chests. Now one chest contains gear, the other chest contains materials for crafting, and then the other chest contains gold. So you want to have at least 400 Aether going in, because at the end, that's how you'll open the gear chest. And then you'll use the remaining Aether after that to open up the other chests. And that's basically Infernal Hordes. You'll also get what's called a Chaotic Wave, and it's like purple, and it gives you a chance to get a ton more Aether than you normally would using these normal events here. So that is Infernal Hordes. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but that's what it is. So moving on, we're going to talk about the Undercity, and as soon as my game loads, I will show you that. Now, the Undercity is a little different, but you know, same idea. You run in and kill monsters, but this is a timed dungeon, and you have what is called tributes. So these are called these little, I don't know, they look like a bouquet of like dead things. I'm not really sure, but that's what they look like. And you have different kinds here. So you have like greater tribute armaments. You've got refinement, and it tells you like what kind of stuff it gives you. So kind of just pick and choose like what you're trying to run for. You pick it and choose it. I'll pick a blue one. I don't want to waste an orange here. So you pick a blue one here. Open the portal. We don't care about ruining the Infernal Horde. We just want to demonstrate how this is going to work. And I'll make this pretty quick. So this is a timed dungeon. And so the idea is the map is already shown for you. So you go through, and in the top right, you're going to see these like little altars. You click on these altars, You kill everything, the monsters will spawn, you'll kill them, and then it'll fill up this bar here over on the right. It'll turn blue. And you want to get through it as fast as possible without running out of time. If you run out of time, you get kicked out of the dungeon. That's it. You don't get to retry, nothing. So you want to keep doing this until this blue bar is maxed out to 4. Because once it gets to 4, then you get max rewards at the end. You basically just get a loot chest. But you get the best rewards in that possible loot chest that you can get by just hitting level 4. So you want to do that, get the best rewards possible, and I will just show off a little demo here. Once you leave this little area, the timer starts. I'm going to kick off my ultimate here. I'm not going to go through the whole dungeon. I just want to demonstrate going through an altar here. Click on the altar. And as you can see, it turned gray here on the map, so it's done. You just keep going, and you just do the same thing. And this is the entire dungeon. And there's also like these timed monsters, like these little, they have little hourglass by it. That means you'll get additional time. So you want to kill those monsters and kill these little events here that give you additional time. This is just a normal Undercity run, so you don't lose any time. So there's a lot of time going on involved with that, but there's different tributes that will subtract more time from your run. So just in general, complete the thing as fast as you possibly can to get the most rewards so that you don't waste the key and that you get it done. Alright. That's enough about the Undercity. One other thing I want to mention about the Undercity, I have to run back up to it here now. Sorry about that. Is that you'll end up, at one point, you might end up getting a Mythic Tribute. So you pop it in, it's purple. And what is a Mythic Tribute? Well, basically, Mythic Tribute is what offers these basically best in slot items in the game called Mythic Uniques. They're purple. I'm actually wearing one right now. This is the Harlequin Crest. And then I also have a Starless Sky. So this is what Mythic Uniques look like. I'll talk about that later, but as of now, I just wanted to explain, like, you could get a Mythic Tribute, pop that in here. Obviously, wait till you hit about at least T10, I would say. Run it comfortably at a very fast pace, and then at the end, you have a chance to get some Mythic Uniques. So just keep that in mind when you're running these. You want to look out for those. Hold on to them until you're, like, higher endgame, and then clear them, because you don't want to run this at, like, normal, right? And then you don't get a Mythic. That would suck. So the higher Torment, the better. So, alright. So moving back to Temis here, back to where we were now that we explained that. Helltide, I'm not going to explain Helltide. It was there on launch. It hasn't really changed. Nothing's really changed about it. So let's see, what's next on the list here? So crafting. So crafting's a lot different since the last time I talked about it. And if you buy the expansion, you get the Horadric Cube. Now there's, oh my god, look at all this stuff. There's so much stuff you can do here. It's crazy, it's crazy. So basically, the idea is that you'll have certain pieces of gear, and of course, I don't have any of that gear in my inventory right now, so let's see if I can pull something out here where I can kind of show this off. I've got a blue here, perfect, and we've got a white. This is wonderful. We also got a yellow, and we got a legendary. Perfect. So, first things first. So you have your whites, you have your blues, your yellows, your oranges, and then you have your mythics. This is the different rarities. So I'll just repeat that again. White, which is normal. You got your magic, rare, legendary, mythic. I'm going to put that back on because I don't want to accidentally salvage that. But you get the idea. So when you're starting out, you're mostly going to get normal drops. Then you're going to, as you level up, you'll get magics, and you'll get rares, and then you'll get legendaries. So how do you craft on these items? So I can take this item here, and I can throw it in the cube, and I can upgrade it to a blue. Then I can upgrade it to a yellow, and then I can upgrade it to an orange. So it's very much different than it was before. We did not have a system like this on launch, but I'm going to demonstrate it. So we got this white pair of gloves. Look at this. There's nothing on here, no affixes at all. So you come in here, you come to the cube, you right click, put it in here. I'm going to click add affix, transmute, accept. And now we've got an affix on there. And now you can see it's turned into a magic pair of gloves. Transmute it again. And now we've got another affix. Transmute it again. And now we've got 3 affixes. So If it's 2 or less, it's a blue item, and if it's less than that, it's a white item. If it's more than 2, it's a yellow item, and then we're going to transmute it again. We're now at 4 affixes. We still have a yellow item, but you have your item transmutation here. Upgrade to a legendary. Clap that by in there. Transmute. Bam. Now we've got all the way from a white item to a legendary set of gloves. Now the other thing that you can do is you can change your affixes on your items using the cube. How do you do that? Well, you have these different materials here. Under your consumables tab in your inventory, you've got your tuning prisms. These are basically way more deterministic on what you can do to basically tweak gear the way you want. So like a good example is, let's see what our stats are. We have intelligence, we have crit stack chance, we have lightning resistance. You can take one of these different prisms, these tuning prisms, and slap it into the cube here and basically change the roll based on the affix that you're trying to affect. So a good example of that is the aggressive tuning prism. It's used to target the offensive affixes. So I can't do it for this one because it looks like I don't have any offensive affixes in here. Neither do I have mobility, but we might have defensive. Nope, we don't have anything. So I'm going to clear this, throw it back in here, try it again, see if we can do a focus reroll. Sorry, I think I had the wrong items there. And we'll do aggressive. And so what this should do is, if I look at this, if I'm looking at this right, this will either change, this should change the crit strike chance, if I'm reading this right. So let's transmute it. And what do we got? And I was right. Or no, I was wrong. It changed, and we got the cold damage multiplier. And the other thing is, you can do a chaotic reroll, and it says it changes a random affix to one of another category. And you can use a tuning prism to determine the category of the random chosen affix. So keep that in mind, and then you have the focus, which is what I just did a minute ago. So there's that. And then you have, let me just clear this completely. Put this back in here. Where's my gear? There we go. Put the legendary back in here. We have other items in here. We have transfiguring items. So in season, I think it was season, what was it, last season? No, season 11. It was season 11. You had the ability to sanctify your item. So basically what would happen is you would get the item that you wanted, you would temper it, and I'll talk about this here in a minute, masterwork it, and then after you masterworked it, I will talk about that too. At the very end, when you're done crafting on your item, you sanctify it. And this is all that this is, and it basically takes the item and it, for the most part, makes your weapon like way better than it was at the very end. But however, one caveat to this, once you do this, you cannot make any changes to your item. You can't change the aspect. You can't do anything. The only thing that you can do when you transfigure your item is unsocketing gems. So make sure you socket your item before you, if it needs a socket, before you transfigure. Otherwise, you will not be able to add sockets to it after. You can only desocket gems that are already put into the item. So keep that in mind. So this is the cube. There's a ton of other things that you can do here inside of the cube. You can recycle uniques. You can basically take 3 uniques and then re-roll into 1 unique. You can upgrade a white to a unique, so keep that in mind. Upgrade a legendary, you just saw that in action. You can re-roll a set charm, and you can basically take a set charm to a different charm from the same set. You can craft a unique charm. It takes a unique, and I'll go into charms and all that here in a little bit. I'm just explaining the crafting portion, and then we'll get to the other stuff. Then you got amalgamation. Let me see. A good example of this is taking 5 of a key here. So you can take these tributes here, and you can do like an amalgamation. It's not letting me do it. Let me scroll down here. Skipped it. Let's try this guy. So you can basically take a yellow and turn 5 of these into a legendary. So transmute, and boom, we got a legendary there. So. And the same thing with the blues. You can take 5 blues, turn it into a yellow, 5 yellows, turn it into a legendary, and then take 5 legendary of the armament. Do I have any of the armament? It does not look like I do. Oh, I have 1. So if you had 5 of these, you can convert 5 of these into a mythic tribute of armaments, which I explained earlier, that you put into the Undercity, and you could use that to get mythic uniques. So there's that. There's also rune crafting, literally pretty self-explanatory. There's also runes in the game. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But essentially, they're basically, I was talking about it right now. Runes are these gems that are part of Diablo 2 that they wanted to add into the game, so they've done so. And you have two different rune pairing. You have a pair of runes that you can apply. So you have this like upper rune that looks like this. It's like an upside down U. And then you got the other side, the rune of invocation, which is like this, the horseshoe basically. You put one on the top of your gear. I have it set up here. See how I got Seer of X. So you take one and combine it at the top, and you put the invocation up at the bottom. And then you combine it here, gain 1+ to all skills for 10 seconds. So you can kind of see the different combinations here that you can do. You can literally just read what they do and then pop in whatever you want and experiment all you want. They're not permanent. You can desocket them at any time. So you can go crazy with these. So keep that in mind when you're doing runes. But basically, they've made it so that if you need to craft these runes, you're looking for a specific rune, these are technically all legendary runes, which are very rare in the game. They're these orange ones, obviously. But they tell you what you need to do to craft them. So there's that. Alright, so that's pretty much the cube for the most part. The other thing I'm trying to think, I mean, there's probably a better way of explaining it than I did, but that's essentially the cube. You can do a lot of things with it. It's a very good for like alleviating inventory space. Like if you have a bunch of dungeon keys, like I said, I did earlier, I mentioned the tributes, but you can also do the same thing with regular dungeon keys and do an escalation sigil, or you can also lost my train of thought. No, just escalation sigil and then the tributes, as far as I know. You can't do them with like boss keys or anything like that. So, alright, well, let's see. What do we got? We got more crafting to talk about here. Alright, so crafting. On D4 launch, crafting did not exist. It wasn't even a thing. However, we have a lot more options now. So, I have this legendary pair of gloves that we started off with. We'll just use this as an example. And now we have what's called tempering. So tempering has all these different categories that you can pick from. I'm going to throw my glove in here. Like, obviously, different items are going to have different categories that are going to be applied to them. So in my case, I'm just going to say, for the sake of it, offensive. You have a list of different offensive affix tempers that you can choose. And these are always a guarantee when you pick any of these. But the roll that you get on them is not a guarantee. So let me just show you. Let's say we want to do physical damage. Temper. It's going to temper it. Bam. We got plus 38% physical damage. 20 out of 40%. So one key tip here is that when you do this, it's not permanent. You can change the temper on this anytime. However, it's depending on how many temper scrolls do you have on this in your inventory. So I'm going to use all these up. Let's say I want to try to get a roll here. Bam. Oh, I'm not getting the roll I like. Oh, damn, 20%. That's horrible. I don't want that at all. Now we're out of temporary rerolls. What do? Well, you get what's called a scroll of restoration while you're playing the game. And there's just these tiny scrolls. And to add more scrolls to your item so you can keep tempering, you just come up here to this little swirly, this little refresh, whatever you want to call it. And now you have 3 more tries to try again. The other thing I'll give you a tip about is crit tempering. That's what I call it. Basically, there's a chance that you temper and it's going to create a greater affix on your item. And a greater affix is an item with these little star on by it. It just means that it's a higher affix than what is outside of the norm of a normal roll, if that makes sense. So as you can see here, there's no roll listing on maximum life on these pants that I have. That's because it's been either critted from me tempering it, which it looks like it has been, or it's a greater affix. So it's the same thing, but you have a chance to basically put a greater affix on your gear by tempering. So let's see if we get one here. 39%, not bad. 29%, we didn't get it. So it's very rare, but it can happen. I've done it myself. I mean, look at this helmet. So There you go. So that's tempering. So let's say you got your item from a white to a yellow, or sorry, white, blue, yellow, orange. Now we've tempered it. We've got our physical damage. You can see that little axe icon, the physical damage that we added onto it. And now you come over here to Masterworking. So Masterworking, you slap it in here, and you've got these two different materials. And of course, other pieces of gear are going to require different materials, but for the most part, this is what you need. And you're going to get a ton of this stuff when you're playing, so don't worry about it. And then also, like in the early game, do not like craft on your gear until you get to like level 70 at least. But I digress. So basically, Masterworking just upgrades the quality of your gear. You do it all the way into level 25, and then at the very end, it picks a random affix to basically run a crit chance on. So I'll just show it here. Go all the way. Skip. We don't have time for that, Skippy. And look at that. We critted on our temper. So you can crit on your temper on your masterwork. So not to be confused with a greater affix. This is not a greater affix. This is just a masterworking mechanic. So you could essentially get this crit on top of a greater affix for even stronger benefits. So that's masterworking. So now we've got our gear tempered. We've got it masterworked. Then this is when you would come to the cube. You'd throw it in here. And then you would say Transfigure. And then it would say grant a modification of great possibilities. You say Tuning Prism to narrow the outcome. So you could come in here with your consumables. You could do the Kuleen Tuning Prism. But I believe this only works on amulets. So it's not going to work for gloves. So essentially you could use this on one of your amulets. But anyway, let's go back here, and we're just going to click Transfigure, so I'm going to show you what it does. Transfigure, here's the materials you need, transfigure. Bam, let's see what we got. Ooh, we got that's pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to use this piece of gear, but, you know, as you can see at the top here, it says Transfigured, and it got plus 25 quality, and I think it says 39 here on the left. So total 39 quality. Basically just buffs the shit out of our item. So really, really strong stuff. You kind of get an idea, but now you can no longer customize it. You can't change the aspect. So speaking of aspects, let's talk about that. So you come over here to the occultist, and let's say I can't use this glove to change it. Or sorry, I picked on the wrong one. See how it's grayed out? Can't do it because it's already done. So at the beginning of Diablo 4, you had aspects, but you did not have a Codex of power. You basically had to run around, kill monsters, and pray to God that you got the aspects that you wanted. And if you wanted a better roll, well, you just had to keep playing the game and keep killing monsters to get a better roll of a certain aspect. So as an example, this is the overheating runic gloves. Slain burning enemies have a 10% chance to grant overpower. Your damage is increased by 16% out of 17.5. So let's say that I was playing Diablo 4 on launch, and I got this same aspect, and, you know, it was a 10% roll. Terrible roll. For me to upgrade this, I would have to keep killing monsters until I found a aspect that had a better roll than this, and then slap it on my gloves. Now, it's a little different. Not that much different, but it's a little different. So now, you still have to go and kill monsters and wait for the aspects to drop. However, if you, let's say you're just playing, you got a bunch of legendaries in your inventory, if you salvage all the legendaries, and one of them happens to have a, like a upgraded, I don't know, let's say this has 17.5 of the slain burning enemies have a 10%, the 17.5 chance to grant overpower, and you salvaged it, well, it adds it to your Codex of power here with that roll. So now, every time you apply that aspect to another set of gloves, you're always going to get that 17.5% chance roll every single time now. Which as before, when you had the aspects, it was just that one piece of gear, one and done. You'd have to go find another aspect with that high roll. It would not add to the Codex. There was no Codex. And that's just how it worked. And basically, you were playing the game for a lot longer than you needed to be. It just wasn't a fun experience. But this is a lot better now. This is how it works, and it's just a much better system. And of course you have your enchanting, where you can take the item and choose one of these affixes that you want to change. Let's say you want to change lightning resistance. Bam. No change. Armor max life. Ooh, we want max life. Replace the affix. So that is still in the game. Really hasn't changed. I mean, it gives you a list of different affixes that you could possibly get. So that's enchanting. So that really hasn't changed. So I think that really sums it up on crafting. I don't think I'm missing anything. I think that's it, yeah. I think that's pretty much everything on the crafting section for the most part. Now, there's probably going to be better videos that you can go look up that do a deep dive on how the cube works or how to really craft, but hopefully I gave you a good idea on how that works. And of course, you know, if you need to gamble on items, you have your obol vendor here, and you got your obols down here in your inventory. So that's a mechanic from D3, and that, you know, if you know what that is, then you're good to go on that. All right, so the next subject we can talk about are mythic uniques. So I kind of briefly mentioned them earlier with the mythic tribute, but these are mythic uniques. These are the rarest items in the game. You want to get these ASAP. They may or may not work well with your build, and if they don't work with your build, that's totally fine, but they're here. If you want to use them, they're essentially the strongest items in the game. Some of the strongest items in the game, I should say. Some builds are better off just doing tempers and greater affixes, but for the most part, there are a lot of builds that benefit, and you get a lot of bonuses from using the mythic uniques. They're the rarest items in the game. They have a lot of really good stats, and as of Season 13, this video recording, you can now temper on mythic uniques. So you can add, what I've added here is max life to my my Harlequin crest, and then I have a Starless Sky, which is a very powerful ring, and I tempered 9% cooldown reduction onto it after. And then I masterworked it, and then I transfigured it, and I slot my gems in there. We call it a day. So that's mythic uniques. Now, how do you get mythic uniques? Well, technically speaking, mythic uniques can drop from any time at any difficulty in the game. We're going to come over here and talk about difficulty for a second, just so I can explain this a little better. So you've got normal, hard, expert, penitent, torment, torment 2, torment 3, torment 4, torment 5, torment 6, torment 7, torment 8, torment 9, 10, 11, 12. So now there's 10 torments. Before, I believe they called it world tiers. There was world tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. They've completely gotten rid of that system. Now it's torments. Back to the D3 system, baby. That's right. So, as you can expect, the further you go, the higher chance of getting better gear. And then it sort of soft caps out at torment 10. What I mean by this, like, look here, nothing really changes except for your experience you get and the gold that you get. So, and even here, it's like just 100% more experience. So, and it's really not worth it to do T11 or 12 or anything past that. I'd say T10 is plenty enough for you to soft cap at the mythics that you want to get is by playing in Torment 10. So anyway, I mentioned earlier Mythic Tributes. That is a certain way to get Mythic Uniques. The other way is through bossing, through greater boss key. I clicked on dungeons. Center consumables. You've got your Lair keys to open up regular bosses. And then you have greater Lair keys. Of course, I don't have any greater Lair keys on me right now. Maybe I can check my season journey here and see if I can grab one. Might be able to. Yes. Aha. That's perfect. I just have to look and see now. Do I have it? Yes. Here we go. Greater Lair key. Okay. So, there's a lot of bosses in the game now. Let's start with the Beast in Ice. He's the giant ice beast monster. He's just a regular Lair boss. I'm going to go over the regular Lair bosses. And then you've got Lord Zier. You've got Varshan, which he was the first boss in Season 1 if you're coming back from that long. You've got Rigor. Then you come down here, you've got not Deceiver. You've got that's a greater. That is a greater. You got the Harbinger's Den. He's not greater. You got the Broiler. Actually, I think the Broiler is a greater. Yeah, Broiler is a greater. And I mean, it shows you here which ones are greater, which ones aren't. But you have Harbinger of Hatred. You've got Duriel. You've got Endariel. You've got the Butcher. You've got Belial. Those are like the greater layer bosses. And those are the ones that you want to do to get mythics. Sorry, that was a long segue. I was just trying to explain the bossing here. Then you have the regular layer bosses. Now, they can also drop mythic uniques. They just have a way less chance of doing so. And it says even there right here, has a chance to drop mythic unique items. So there's that. But essentially, you can get a mythic unique from running the pit by doing basically any activity in the game. You can get mythic uniques. So while we're talking about the pit, what is the pit? So the pit, if you've ever played Diablo 3, the pit is greater rifts. That's it. That's the only difference. And just for the sake of it, I will show off a Torment 9. We'll go in here into the pit. You basically kill a bunch of monsters, fill up the bar. Once the bar fills up, a boss spawns. Kill a boss, and you get, you know, that's a good reason I'm showing off the pit here. Boss spawns, and you can level up your glyphs, and I'll explain glyphs. But you get the idea. You come in here, fill up the barn, the boss spawns, and then you're done. I'm not going to go through that because there's just so much more to go through. So I don't want to waste your time, but I just wanted to show you basic understanding of what that looks like. However, at the end of each pit, you have glyphs. So you also have your Paragon board, which, if you don't remember what Paragon is, it's just you get on top of your skill tree, you have a board called Paragon. And basically, this is like passive bonuses that you get while you're leveling up. And this unlocks once you get to max level, which the new max cap level is level 70. So you come in here and you can do all your passive bonuses, and then you have your glyphs. And you can kind of pick your glyphs here. I believe they go up to level 150. Once you get it to level 51, they become legendary glyphs, and they give you a big boost in power. So you want to get these to level 51 as soon as you can. But that is the main reason you want to run the pit or the greater rift, whatever you want to call it, because that's where you'll go to level these guys up. You get like 5 or 6 or 7 chances to level it up. And then as you progress and get stronger, you'll run higher pit tiers. And the more pit tiers you get, the higher EXP chance you get to level up the higher success rate, I should say, not EXP. The higher success rate you get to level up your glyphs. So do the pit. It's very helpful. Get your Paragon. Get yourself. This is how you get stronger. This is how, like, your main source of power, besides your gear, of course, when you're in the end game, to really boost your strength and really push forward in the pits. So there's that. And then also, they've added what is called the Tower, which is basically just leaderboards. Running the pit, both leaderboards. So I don't personally partake in it, but if you were wanting to see, you know, here's what's going on with the Barb. Who's number 1 at the Barb? Well, you can see right here. And then you got, of course, Legendary Rob. He's right there. He's number 15, baby. That's awesome. So there's that. Let's see. So we talked about Mythic Uniques. We talked about bossing. Just to recap with the bossing, with the regular bosses, you use the boss layer keys. And then for the other bosses like Duriel, Belial, and Dariel, they use the greater layer keys. And it'll tell you which key you need to use. And they just drop whatever just by playing the game. So keep that in mind. You'll just pick these up, and then you'll have them to open a chest after you're done killing each boss. And again, each boss has a chance to drop a Mythic Unique. So, alright, I think that sums that up. We already talked about runes. We talked about Sanctification. We talked about the Codex of Power. We talked about the Gambler. Literally just come over here. And if you play D3, you remember the Gambler. Just come in here, right click on an item. Bam. We're using the Gambler. Done. Pretty simple, right? The pit, we just talked about the pit. So new stuff. So this is probably what you've been waiting for. The new stuff in the game. We talked about the cube already. So we'll talk about Warplans. So once you buy the expansion, you have to complete the Vessel of Hatred campaign. Once you complete the Vessel of Hatred campaign, you'll be able to talk to Tyrael, and he'll do Warplans. Wow, and I just unlocked my rewards from the last set of Warplans I just did. And of course, I don't have any inventory space because I just did the Obol demonstration, but that's fine. So anyway, you talk to Tyrael here, and he'll be like, "Hey, let's do war plans," and then you hit this war plan board, and this is why Temis is your go-to town. You come to this war plans command table, and you have a list of activities that you can go through while you're playing the endgame. So you just come in here and decide. When you start out, you're gonna have like not very many options. You'll just have like a dungeon or a Helltide. If you don't like what you have on here, so like this is a dungeon, that's Infernal Hordes, this is Helltide, a dungeon, the pit. If you don't like any of these rewards, you just click new plan. It'll say you have a cost, but I've never really ran out of these, so I don't really think you can run out of these. So don't worry about it too much if you don't like it. But boom, now we have a new set of war plans. So here we go. We got bossing, Undercity. And how do you know what is what? Well, you literally just highlight over it. Dungeon, boss, start. Bam. That's what I want. Boom. And so now, when you come here, you have your different list of activities. And you can see at the top here, there's a rank. And the more you do this, you get experience on the right here. There's these different war plan trees. Basically, essentially skill points, like passives, things that you can do to like vamp up or change how your activities kind of go just by doing them. A good example of this is the Lair boss ones. So like this one, after opening a horde chest, there is a low chance a portal will open that will take you to a nemesis lair where you'll fight two initiate lair bosses at the same time. Slaying both of them will yield great rewards. So you can kind of see there's just different kinds of things here for each tree, and they have up to max level 7 for each of them, as far as I know. Yeah, it looks like all 7 of them. And then over here you have your rank 6 out of 10 to improve the rewards you get when you're going through like the different trees. Like you can see this is blue, this is yellow, so it's rare. And then you'll have orange, which is legendary. So these are your war plans. And basically, you don't have to do war plans. Like, you can literally just start running a dungeon if you want. But at this point, like, this is the new endgame system. There's no reason why you shouldn't be doing war plans. And if you don't have a key, do not worry about it. You don't need a key to run them. But I believe you get more experience on your war plan skill tree by just doing the activities outside of your war plans if you already have a key. I think that is the case, but I could be wrong on that. But I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And so, do war plans. They're a lot of fun. It really brings great variety to the end game if you're like you were just bored out of your mind, because there basically was no end game on D4 launch. This is just a much more refined system that I hope Blizzard continues to at least maybe update, modify, change, or add on to as each season goes by and we compound more activities. So that is war plans. The other new thing is charms. So we got charms now. What are charms? These talismans, or whatever you want to call them. Then you've got your 5 6. I can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got your 6 talismans here, and then you got your seal. Your seal is what determines how many slots you can unlock. And then you also have these different rarity types of talismans. So they have, as far as I know, they just have rare and magic. I don't think they have a different rarity besides that. There's a mythic seal, and I'll talk about seals here in just a second. But for the most part, you're going to see the set charms the most. And you'll want to do the set charms and get 5 of them, because once you get all 5, you can see all these different bonuses that you get. When you get a pair of 2, and you get a pair of 3, and now you've got the full set, which is 5. So you'll always want to be shooting to get the full set, and then you'll have these unique charms that you can add to compound on top of your set. And then in the middle, like I mentioned, you have your seals. And like these determine these, and by the way, all of these have random these top affixes where it says resistance to all elements and impairment reduction. Those are random rolls, so you can re-roll these in the pit, in the cube. Let's say you're trying to get a specific set charm here. So you can literally take any combination, and then you can do a 3-to-1 transmutation. Transmutes 3 of the same equipment, talisman, or rune items into a random new item of that type. So we're gonna hit transmute here. Bam! We just got us a new charm here, and you can see the the affix at the top is different from, like, let's say the one that I have over here. Obviously, this is a completely different set charm, but you get the idea. So there's that. Really do not sleep on these if you pick these up. Obviously, I want to clip them. You're just missing out on free damage. One thing I mentioned, some just miscellaneous stuff, is I think I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but Helltides, they don't run every hour anymore. There's like a cooldown of 5 minutes, but other than that, they run 24/7. Potions, you no longer need to upgrade those anymore. They completely took that feature out of the game. I think they just found that people didn't like it, or they just weren't using it or interacting with it, so they just completely got rid of it. Everybody just has 4 potions, and that's it. And it just scales automatically based on your level and like how much health you have and things of that nature. The other thing they took out is potions elixirs and the EXP elixirs. They just completely got rid of those. They just said, nah, we're not going to do that. People found it a nuisance. So they removed them from the game and just gave us an extra 5 XP or whatever I think you got from it. So there's that. Let's see here. Am I missing anything? I think we covered pretty much everything. Oh, the other thing is the season journey. I almost did forget. The season journey is a little different now these days. You have, at the very beginning, you have capstone dungeons. So 1, 2, 3, you have 4 capstone dungeons to proceed through each chapter in the first 4 seasons. Once you get to the 5th season, you're just going through the pit. And what am I reading here? I'm reading over here on the right, where are these dungeons at? View on the map, and it'll show you where to go. And you just click on it, and it'll literally just teleport you to it. That's the other thing. Teleporting to dungeons. If you have a key, you just click on it on the map, and then it teleports you there immediately. There's nothing else to do after that. You don't have to ride on your horse to it. I mean, I guess you could if you really want to get that Diablo Sanctuary atmospheric adventure, but as far as I know, nobody likes to do that. They just click on here. And the other thing is you can teleport to the bosses just by clicking on it, and it'll just take you straight there. So there's that. So back to the seasons. You have your 4 different capstone dungeons. Once you get to 5 and 6, they're just running pits. And then this season they decided to add a few more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe they added these last 2. These like pinnacle content. So there's no season 13 theme. They just said, hey, we're going to give you these extra chapters to get even better rewards. They're very, very difficult. I haven't even beaten Uber Mephisto yet. That's the other thing. There is Uber Lilith and Uber Mephisto, and if you remember on launch, Lilith was like pretty much undefeatable. She was very, very hard to kill. Like only like the top 5% of Diablo players were able to kill her, and they've made her significantly easier now. She's a much easier fight. I have different videos going over the fight for pretty much every season, starting from season 6. So go check those out if you want to kill Lilith. I'm still trying to figure out how to kill Uber Mephisto. I have not been able to get it done. He's been a challenge for me on Torment 10. So there's that. Let's see here. I think that might be everything. So just to recap, buy the expansion, hit level 70, new level cap. Once you get to 70, or once you beat the expansion, you'll have access to the cube. You'll have access to Warplans, and you can literally just get started right away. All the activity in the game it scales with your torment level now. It's not just going into different activities and then, oh, well, what level is the pit? Versus if I go fight these bosses, what difficulty is that? Or if I go do this, and Helltide is going to be... No, it's all the same, and it all scales with your torment difficulty now. So, there is that. So, I think that is a good summary. That should be enough to get you started. There's also escalation sigils. Sorry, I just forgot to mention this earlier when I was talking about the keys. Escalation Sigils is basically a set of dungeons. You run 3 dungeons back to back inside of 1 key, and at the end you fight a boss, and he gives you pretty good loot. And there's like little mini dungeons inside of that called Horadric portals. You go through them, you do the event in there, and then you get another chest that just gives you a bunch of loot. So that is basically escalation dungeons. But yeah, that's it. I feel like I've covered everything. Feel like that's a good place to call it there. How long have we been talking for? We've been talking for nearly an hour. So yeah, I'll be cutting this video up into chapters just so that if you want to skip around, you're going to be able to do so. But hopefully you found this video helpful. Just diving into the expansion. It's been a lot of fun. I've already made 2 characters. I made a Warlock starting out, and then this is my second character. I've got my Sorcerer, Ball Lightning Sorcerer, and she's just a complete blast to play. And currently, once I get a Mythic Unique called the Grandfather for my Barbarian, I plan on making a Barbarian Spin to Win build, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But anyway, I think I'm going to hang it up there. I'll be cutting up this video into chapters, as I mentioned. Let me know if I missed anything. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you made it this far in the video, please say thank you in the comments. I would really appreciate it. And feel free to like and subscribe. You're not obligated to, but it does help out the channel a lot. Again, let me know if I missed anything, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.